Alright, what's going on everybody? Welcome back to another video here on the channel, and today we're going to be talking about the Kris Tyson MrBeast allegations. Now, this has been a pretty big situation unfolding the last couple days over mostly on Twitter, but obviously there's also news of it circulating outside of Twitter now as well. It's a pretty big deal. It's kind of now starting to reach the mainstream a little bit more. I was going to make this video yesterday talking about all of this, but as it goes with a lot of these different situations, right, I start working on the video, like compiling the evidence to talk about or whatever, and then like in the middle of all that, new shit will just start kind of dropping, right, and new pictures or whatever might come out, and so I figured it'd just be best to wait an extra 24 or so hours, see if any new stuff drops, and then basically go from there and compile it all instead of having, you know, just make follow-up videos if anything crazy happens. So pretty comfortable making the video now and, you know, compiling all of this evidence and all these allegations and stuff, right? So if you don't know who Kris Tyson is going into this entire thing, right? Kris Tyson is a member of the MrBeast team. Now, Kris has appeared in plenty of these MrBeast videos on the channel, probably has hundreds of millions, if not even at this point, billions of combined views where they're in the video, you know what I mean? And of course, Kris has become even more popular or famous online, if you will, outside of the MrBeast brand after becoming, or I shouldn't say becoming, announcing, I guess is the right word for that they were transgender. They transitioned from being a male to a female. Now they go by, I think it's Kris Ava Tyson is like the full name or whatever. And so that's added an entire layer to this. I'll explain that here in a little bit as well. But these allegations, they're pretty fucking serious. I mean, we have allegations of talking and sexting inappropriately with minors as young as like 14 years old. We have allegations of sending pornography, more specifically revenge pornography, to these same children. Allegations of sitting in Discord and making very weird, inappropriate jokes with children. Allegations of saying some pretty disturbing shit on Reddit, which I'll get into, of course, later as well, that just simply, I don't know if anyone should really be able to defend at all. And then also, there's more allegations, too, that Kris Tyson basically is a lolicon supporter and has been purchasing lolicon, or has in the past purchased lolicon from a person named Shadman. Once again, we'll get into all of this more individually, right? Because these are all pretty heavy, pretty weighted allegations. And I think they all need to be kind of discussed on their own, right? Not just piled on top of one another. So I guess we'll start off with the big bang, if you will, in this entire thing. So there is screenshots / videos going around of a Snapchat conversation that took place in, I believe it's 2019, if I'm reading the little like dates and whatnot in the messages correctly. It's kind of hard because like the phone angle is being filmed not like as a screen recording, but from another phone down onto a phone screen. So at the time, this person was allegedly, I believe, 14 years old. There's actually a couple different allegations going on right now. I'll talk about those too. Now, this video is going around basically showing the private DMs between this minor and Kris Tyson, and I mean, there's definitely some pretty odd and peculiar things going on here, you know. Kris Tyson is sending this kid kissy face emojis, calling him dad, you know, just having like this weird level of like personal connection, I guess, with a minor who's also a fan. And so before we go any further, I just want to point something out, and this is something that in this entire conversation, I think a lot of people, they're really not actually coming out to say, right? Now, of course, people are criticizing what's going on here. They're calling Kris Tyson a groomer, a pedo, all kinds of things, right? But I just want to go ahead and point out that the standard that's been set, obviously, on the internet, and for good reason, too, is that YouTubers, content creators, famous people, whatever it may be, shouldn't be having personal, minor conversations, you know what I mean? These people shouldn't be talking to children on the internet. You shouldn't be DMing with kids online. And it's a pretty easy policy to kind of follow, right? Like, I'm not going to talk to children all day on the internet. I'm not going to add them on my private Snapchat or, you know, hang out with them in Discord all day, shit like that, right? I think that's a pretty safe standard to follow, and it's one that obviously has been used against probably at this point dozens of other people on the internet. It's just a weird level of connection to have with somebody like that. It's unnecessary, right? So this is like one of the main pieces of evidence that's kind of circulating online right now. And also in one of the same videos, there is a recorded conversation that took place on Discord between Kris Tyson and several, you know, underage fans as well.
I know, dude, I would come inside of that egg and then watch her eat it and then watch her have sex with another man while she comments about how my genitalia can never satisfy her. He gets cancer in the mouth.
Okay. I gotta say that is one of the not good places.
I hope he goes his entire life not smoking a single cigarette, and then when he gets 80, he just gets fucked by some dude with some cancer dick, and he shoves it in his mouth and he gets mouth cancer.
Yeah.
That's hot.
All right, so, I mean, it's just an odd clip. Honestly, the shit that's being said is just weird. Doesn't really make any sense. Now, obviously, clips like this, people who are defending Kris Tyson here are like, oh, well, it's just a joke. You know, there was just some edgy jokes, just a little bit of hoopla happening in the Discord call, right? But I just want to point out that, like, this same level of credit would never be applied to literally anybody else, right? And pretty much rightfully so. I think we can kind of agree on that. Like, this is just shit you don't need to be doing. Why are you sitting in Discord calls with minors talking about coming and cancer wee and shit? Like, what the fuck is going on here, bro? What is necessary about any of this? It's just all odd. And, you know, it's not like one clip came out and it's out of context, right? Oh, you know, this clip came out. We don't really know what's going on in the background. There is like an established pattern of weird, odd, disgusting behavior going on here, and it all just kind of really goes into the same thing. It's always about doing, you know, having these conversations with children, talking with minors. Minors are in the Discord call. Minors are the butt end of the quote-unquote joke, right? Like, it's just always some sort of weird shit like that, right? So these two clips of videos and whatnot have been circulating pretty heavily, right? And at this point, you know, there is like this massive back and forward. You have like 2 or 3 camps of people. On one side, you have the people who obviously are pretty weirded out by everything that they're seeing. They think it's fucking disgusting. They think it's grooming or possible pedophilia, just weird shit, right? Keep in mind, this isn't everything we're going to talk about. This isn't all the evidence, anything like that, right? But then, of course, there's like the people in the middle ground. This is usually like right where I kind of am when allegations like this are starting to come out. People just kind of wanted to see proof or like hear a statement from Kris Tyson on the whole thing and kind of like, you know, base their judgment after that. And then of course there's the people who are just sweeping and hardcore defending for Kris for whatever reason, saying, oh, you know, it was just all inappropriate, edgy jokes and it was just weird stuff, but nothing more than that. This isn't grooming. This isn't weird, right? Now I'll get into my opinion on that here a little bit later in the video, but for now, let's go ahead and keep kind of, you know, going through all this evidence and stuff like that, right?
How's it going, you guys? So recently everybody's been hearing about the Jeanette McCurdy leak of her photo. What the story is, she sent pictures to her boyfriend, her now ex-boyfriend, and he leaked them out. And she is a very popular Nickelodeon star on the show iCarly, and probably be seen as the pulling of the show. It'll probably be taken off the air. Second off, you'll probably see the photos get taken down at some point tonight, maybe tomorrow, because Nickelodeon has that kind of power. But the link's in the description if you want to see them. I mean, I'm not endorsing people to go look at somebody else's private business, but I know that, you know, people might want to see them, so it's there if you want it. First off, what I have to say, though, is that when you look on the news, you see people, they've leaked nudes from their girlfriend at a high school, and that girl kills herself. It's a tragic story. Everybody calls the guy a bully. But, yeah, when people like Perez Hilton do it, it's considered entertainment. So, you kind of have to think about where the right and wrong is, really. And, I think it's all wrong, personally. I don't think somebody should leak photos that were sent in trust. But, I guess if that's how President Hilton wants to make his living, it's up to him. You decide. Yeah, you decide if it's moral or if it's immoral. Thanks for watching, guys. Stay awesome.
So that is a recovered video from Kris Tyson's YouTube channel where during an entire like scandalous situation with Nickelodeon and Jeanette McCurdy, who was, you know, on iCarly as Sam, basically Kris made this video where like I don't know if he's trying to make the point of like it's all bad or whatever, but that's not the point that's really made. Kris openly says like, oh, the link to all these revenge porn leaks that are so bad that I'm saying are bad, they're down in the description of my video that I posted and have linked all this shit too. But yeah, I don't condone looking at it. I don't condone that stuff. But if you're curious and you want to see it, check out the description. Keep in mind, these were nude photos and stuff that were leaked without Jeanette McCurdy's consent or permission. This was actual revenge porn, and he goes on his YouTube channel, lets everybody know about it, and then posts it in the fucking description of the video. And then goes on to say like, oh, well, when it's a high school girl who leaks her nudes or her nudes get leaked, they end up killing themselves and it's sad. But if it's someone famous, it's entertainment. We got to decide if it's all good or all bad. As if this isn't the same person who's literally posting the shit in the description to share it out with more people. So, I mean, this is a little bit different than the other allegations, but like I said, there's just this really odd, long-going pattern of just really fucked up and weird and just disturbing behavior out of Kris Tyson that goes on for years and years and years. Now, probably the most popular of the people who've come forward and accused Kris Tyson or have been a victim of Kris Tyson, according to all these allegations, has been someone by the name of Lava, okay? Now, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to post an interesting tweet that took place between Lava and between Kris Tyson back in May of 2018. Check again, and then it adds an account. I posted some fire nudes for you. Please no share. Now keep in mind, this is a tweet that took place when Lava was supposedly a minor, and of course Kris Tyson was an adult, as are pretty much all of these allegations. The person receiving it is a minor, Kris Tyson is an adult when it takes place, right? So, like I said, this is just an ongoing thing, right, with people and across multiple platforms. I mean, there's just so many different fucking screenshots and Snapchat conversations, Discord call leaks, right? Like, it's all there. Now I'm going to go ahead and show some Reddit screenshots that are allegedly of Kris Tyson's Reddit account from several years ago, of course, as well. And I mean, these are just fucking insane, right? So Tyson Boy 34 7 years ago commented, why the fuck would you use your VR headset for anything other than 3D Loli gang R porn? And there's more, trust me. So no second monitor to have hentai constantly playing, not good enough for this good boy. And then there's this post of like teenagers hugging or something. I don't know what the fuck is going on in the original picture, but Tyson Boy 34 comments, but you can still get teen love. 14-year-olds always stay 14. So, I mean, what can really be said here? So the defense that people have been constantly using to try and deflect and act like this all isn't a big deal is, oh, well, but it was just all jokes. It was all just really edgy, weird jokes. And maybe it wasn't funny, but it was just edgy humor. Ha ha ha. And I just want to point out two different things here. Number one, no, it's not just a couple of edgy jokes. Some of these quote-unquote edgy jokes were made directly to children as young as like 14 years old, which is pretty ironic when you see that fucking Reddit post there, right? So at that point, it's not really a joke anymore when you're just constantly doing shit like that to children on the internet across multiple different platforms. And number two, that level of credit, if you will, of, oh, well, you know, it was just a joke. It wasn't something to take serious. It was just edgy and it was just out there. That level of credit would never be given to anybody else, okay? And really rightfully so. You know what I mean? Like Dr. Disrespect, he didn't get that level of credit. You know, EDP445, he didn't get that level of credit. Any of these people who've been caught being weird towards minors, have admitted to having weird conversations with children, whatever it may be, right? They would never be given this level of defense of, oh, well, they were just making some edgy jokes. It was just some off-color humor. Because it doesn't come off as off-color humor. It doesn't come off as jokes when you constantly do that and you constantly portray yourself that way. And then you admit to it online like Dr. Disrespected, right? This type of shit would never work for anybody else, but because, you know, it's Kris Tyson and it's somebody that people identify with online and it's somebody who's famous for being with MrBeast, apparently now, oh, it's just edgy jokes, it's just weird off-color humor. No, I don't think that's gonna work this time, right? So, and then people too have been acting, oh, well, it's not grooming. The victim, Lava, came out and said they weren't groomed. Let's go ahead and take a look at that statement. These videos are massive lies and twisting the truth. Ava never did anything wrong and just made a few edgy jokes. I was never exploited or taken advantage of. Can you do me a favor and comment on these videos and tell them to stop spreading lies? This situation takes away from children who are actively being exploited every day online. I'm not a victim of anything being claimed in the videos at all. All right, so that is, once again, one of the victims or like one of the minors in this entire situation, right, with this whole thing. Now, the story here is when Lava was like 14, that's when a lot of these conversations that were weird and sexually charged with these odd jokes were happening. And then when Lava was 16, Lava actually met Kris Tyson in person, had a meetup. Now, they claim that their family was present for it and MrBeast staff or whatever was present for it, so it wasn't like they were alone. But once again, this same level of credit would never be given to anybody else. It's really not that hard to see. If Dr. Disrespect came out tomorrow and was like, yeah, you know, the weird conversations with the minor happened, I did meet the kid, but their family was there too, people would still be, you know, putting him in the fucking Kendrick Lamar Not Like Us memes, and the certified lover boy, certified pedophiles, and the fucking whole internet would have him trending for several days like they did, right? And rightfully so, because that's weird shit that shouldn't be happening regardless of who you are, regardless. Like, once you're an adult and you're doing this shit online, and there's fucking children out there watching your content, you need to understand that there's a limit there. You don't talk to these people, you don't fucking give them your number, your social, none of that shit. There's no reason for any of that to happen. There's no reason for that boundary to be crossed. But yet, once again, now that it's somebody that people like and people really respect because of everything going on, people feel some sort of weird obligation to just fucking defend it, like this shit is okay and it's acceptable. It's not okay and it's not acceptable. The way that these children were talked to and joked with, and to have an adult joking about sending them nudes and to not share it with them, and out here leaking fucking revenge porn of celebrities and videos, and then claiming to be against it and shit, like, no one else would be allowed to do this. If this was anybody that these people disagreed with or didn't like, they'd be coming for their fucking neck. And people keep bringing up this whole Lava thing. Well, the victim said that they're not a victim. But once again, this isn't the playing field that we've leveled over the last several years. Like, there's so many people handling this situation with children's gloves, right? Because they're afraid to say something that might hurt somebody's feelings or make them feel bad. I really don't give a fuck. And I know that that can really get me some dislikes, and you might leave some really rude or mean comments. But once again, I don't give a fuck, okay? This shit is weird regardless. It doesn't matter. This shouldn't be happening regardless, okay? So over the last several years, we've seen plenty of situations unfold. We've seen the same people who are now defending Kris Tyson, saying it's edgy jokes, go after people like, you know, Call Me Carson, Pyro Cynical, obviously Dr. Disrespect, EDP445, you know, all these different fucking creators. And a lot of the time you hear this interesting argument that has suddenly been voided for this one, right? You'll hear things like, well, YouTubers shouldn't speak with their fans like this because, you know, even if it is going okay or whatever, there's a power dynamic involved. You see, when the creator is talking to their fan, the fan is blindsided. They're blinded by the fact that this famous person with all this control and power is even talking to them, and it makes them behave and do things that they shouldn't or otherwise wouldn't do. And that's grooming. These things are grooming. These people are grooming minors. And of course, this is the same exact thing that should be being said in this case, right? Kris Tyson has a weird level of power over these, you know, minors that they were texting and joking about sending porn with and coming on eggs with and shit like that, right? They were a big YouTuber with this big power dynamic and with this age dynamic that gave them all the power in the conversations. But of course now that's not the argument that's being used because this is somebody that these people like and that they respect and identify alongside with or whatever it may be. Now all of a sudden it's, well, it's just edgy jokes and it's off-color humor and it wasn't really that bad. People are overblowing it. I'm not a victim. See, the person who's supposedly a victim said they're not a victim. That's not how grooming works. That's never been how grooming works. And we've set this big fucking field up of, well, if creators have these conversations with minors, it's grooming. And now we're not going to play by those rules. Now that's suddenly not the engagement we're going with here because it suddenly isn't working in your favor. That's not how this is gonna go, okay? That's not how this is gonna fucking work. We're not just letting this all roll under the rug and whatnot because of that. That's not happening here. And of course, there's been radio silence from a lot of major streamers and creators and whatnot, right? Now, of course, for at least a day, I was part of this radio silence. And I only participated in that because I wanted to gather all the facts and I wanted to build up what I wanted to say. It's not really a wise thing for somebody to just jump into the pool without sticking a fucking toe in to see what the waters are like, right? It wasn't because, oh, I don't want to burn my bridge with MrBeast and their crew and you know, get myself fucking blackballed from working with them or being friends with them in the future, or, oh, well, I personally identify alongside the transgender community or whatever, therefore I'm not going to say anything. But that's the reality of the situation for some of these people. A lot of these creators just don't want to say anything about this, or they want to give these really safe, very policed fucking statements on it after everyone calls them out. Because, you know, well, I mean, if I say something bad, or I you know, say that this person is fucking grooming people and being a weirdo and making very odd jokes to people on the internet, quote unquote, maybe MrBeast doesn't want to work with me anymore, right? That's really what it is. Like, I don't know if people realize that, but the reason why this hasn't blown up into the news story that virtually any other person would have had a news story about them like, is because people are afraid of the repercussions. They're afraid of looking like a mean person or the bad guy or looking like they stand against these people, because obviously MrBeast and that whole team, they're like the face of fucking YouTube, right? And so these people, they don't want to say anything. They don't want to get their fucking hands dirty. They don't want to have a conversation about this stuff. But guess what? For the last several years, these people have been talking about every other instance, you know, of people being weird towards children and making weird jokes towards kids and crossing the barrier of talking to them privately and all this other weird shit. But all of a sudden now, hey, let's not say anything. Sorry, that's not me. That's not how this works, okay? I'm not gonna fucking pick favorites here. And so the last thing I want to talk about, it's really kind of separate from the rest of everything that I talked about in this video, but it still kind of adds to it, right? Because these, I think, were already pretty odd things to have happened anyway, outside of the, like, you know, child grooming, weird jokes towards children shit going on, right? Kris Tyson has been a very long-standing supporter of LoliCon and has even in the past purchased LoliCon from an artist by the name of Shadman. So this is a different controversy, like I said, but if you don't know what Loli is, good for you. Honestly, it's a shame that it really even exists, in my opinion, but basically it's like Japanese drawn like cartoon porn, right? Like hentai or whatever, but instead of it being like a fully grown woman, you know, that you're watching or looking at, it's like a girl or a little, like a boy that's drawn to be very suggestive, to look like a fucking child. Like they have literally like children's bodies and shit, and they act like kids, you know? So in my opinion, honestly, it's just a very safe way of identifying as a pedophile. I mean, who the fuck like looks at that shit and doesn't think about weird shit, you know what I mean? And the defense is always, oh, but it's legal, you know, it's not actually CP. It's a very borderline discussion. In my opinion, it's extremely degenerate, it's fucking disgusting. I look completely differently at people who look at it or care about it. It probably should be fucking outlawed. It's disgusting, weird shit, and the people who actually like partake in it should probably have their hard drives investigated by the feds. But I mean, Kris Tyson has been a long-standing supporter of this, and like I said, even has purchased these kinds of artworks from an artist by the name of Shadman. Now, Shadman's a very controversial figure in and of themselves, but the fact that somebody would, you know, basically engage with somebody like that and pay for shit like that, and then all of this other stuff comes out, I mean, it's just a very, very, very big coinky-dink, don't you think? It's a very odd coincidence, right? That Kris Tyson just so happens to buy artwork of children's suggestive porn to goon to, has said things on Reddit, allegedly, things like, oh, 14's 14, and has made sexual jokes to children, has shared revenge porn of people, has joked about sending nude photos to children, has, you know, fucking texted them privately on social media, sending them kissy face emojis. Like, once again, it's not like there's just one weird allegation that nobody can really prove, nobody can really say anything about. These are just like half a dozen different things that all add together in the same degenerative way. And even Keemstar, he had this to say, and you know, this actually went pretty semi-viral, right? Because I mean, it's a very weird thing for somebody to do and to support. I think anyone can really kind of agree with that here. So Kris Tyson supported the cartoon CP artist Shadman that drew my daughter at age 8 in a sexual manner. This is a known fact. Privately, me and Kris Tyson even had a conversation about this roughly a month ago, and it still upsets me. This is not misinformation, this is a fact. So Kris Tyson is somebody with a very checkerboarded past and with a lot of very, very odd allegations against them, with some pretty I would say, good coinciding evidence for these allegations, right? Like we have videos of the messages, we have pictures of the messages. screen caps. There's people archiving this shit on things like Internet Archive and other places. It's not like this is just some made up issue that people are just kind of pulling out of their ass, right? This is a years-long pattern of just weird shit going on. Allegations, sometimes in a little bit of different realms, that all kind of add together to the same point. Kris Tyson has seemed for years to have this really weird obsession with being a gooner who constantly makes weird fucking sexual jokes around kids, constantly breaks barriers, talks to them in private, talks about sending them nudes, says shit like 14 is 14, yada yada yada. And I know I've harped a lot on this in this video, but this is not something anyone else could get away with, and rightfully so. When you have all these different pieces of evidence coming together saying, oh yeah, this person's weird, right? That should really just, tell you that person's weird. And I'm not outright saying, right, that, this is a person who's got like 50 kids in the closet or whatever, just fucking like running some sort of crazy op. All I'm saying is this is a weird fucking person who does not deserve to be respected or put on the platform that they are. And then also to the people defending this shit and trying to sweep and trying to ignore it and act like it didn't happen, I want you to go ahead and keep that same energy from now on. If all of a sudden now we're going to change the definition of what grooming is to where victims, they can say that they weren't groomed and all of a sudden it's not grooming, and creators can have these weird conversations with kids and shit, if that's the case, then keep your same consistency going forward. Show everybody just how much of a weird fuck you actually are. Because just as I've called other people out for doing this and have talked about this with other people, I'm going to continue to do so here. So anyway, with that being said, thank you guys for watching. If you did enjoy, make sure to leave a like. Subscribe if you're brand new around here on the channel. Follow me over on Twitter and Twitch at @SubToOptimus. Make sure to check out Shoptimus down below. Thank you to my Watch Optimus subscribers. Your support helps the channel tremendously. And until my next video, guys, this is Optimus talking about the Kris Tyson allegations and signing out. All right, actually just kidding, because like I said, when I'm in the middle of making these videos, info always drops right in the middle. So literally right as I'm wrapping this up, a statement comes out from Ava Kris Tyson. I would like to apologize for any of my past behavior or comments. If it hurt or offended anyone, it wasn't my intent. Seeing recent events, we've mutually decided it's best I permanently step away from all things MrBeast and social media to focus on my family and mental health. Of course, this pretty much confirms that these conversations were real. Like, I'd apologize for my past behavior or comments. If it hurt or offended anyone, wasn't my intent. That's pretty much all the confirmation you really need right there that this shit is real. And then now, they're stepping away from MrBeast, obviously, to quote-unquote focus on their mental health. I think we all know the reason why. There was more than likely an order that came down within the organization from MrBeast or somebody saying, hey, you need to step the fuck away. This isn't going to work out. And of course, now they're leaving social media to focus on mental health. Well, that's pretty much it. I just wanted to add that in because, it's pretty important. So with that actually being said, this is now the end of the video. See you guys. And that's a wrap on this video, but big shout out to my Optimus Nation supporters. You guys are the real MVPs. For $10 a month, you get access to loads of exclusive videos and archived live streams, my members only Minecraft server where you can possibly appear in gameplay, early access to all new uploads, an invitation to the private Discord, and much more.